I've played a lot of games in my time, and if there's one thing that has consistently annoyed the shit out of me after all these years, it would have to be RNG. Now, for the unaware, RNG stands for Random Number Generation, and effectively, it's used as the driving force behind games of chance within a video game, like landing a critical hit or getting a super rare item. And the thing you have to understand about this is that it's fucking stupid. RPGs are built upon shit like this, and even though it technically goes both ways, both in your favor and not in your favor, it's still horseshit. Don't you just love it when an attack just straight up misses? You generally have no say in that. It's the game that did that, not you. If you miss a shot or a jump in an action-based game, that's your fault for not acting accordingly. If that happens in an RPG, it's because the console busted out a fucking math.random command on your ass and decided that you don't get to win. Like, who would make this? I honestly think that RPGs should just abolish this shit altogether. Even games like Paper Mario, which make great strides to subvert the monotony and lame-assery of RPGs, still have shit like this. It's great that it has action commands because now the game is actually based on skill and not on a 4th grade math equation. Yay, the super rare badges can only be found in one specific place, so I don't have to waste my time grinding on one specific enemy with a 0.7% chance of dropping it. But uh-oh, what's this? Some fog rolled in, and now there's a 50-50 chance of missing the attack. Things like this just completely invalidate and negate any amount of skill that would otherwise be required in a game. I don't get it. When did we just decide one day that it's cool to remove skill from a video game? Now don't get me wrong, I can understand if some people enjoy RPGs, you know, something that's more thought-based than action-based, but even if they do enjoy it, can they not agree that leaving things to random chance is bullshit? Technically, you could be a beast at timing and getting the core actions down, or in a less action-oriented game, you could just have an intimate knowledge of the winning strategy and still not get the result that you earned. That's like if you spent 4 years and $80,000 on a college degree and still ended up unemployed. Yeah, like that could ever happen. It's like my boy Homer says, you tried your best and you failed miserably. The lesson is, never try. Why would I? I'd rather just play some Banjo-Kazooie. It makes sense that they might do this with a mobile game just to get you to say fuck it and pay extra money to unlock the cool stuff. I mean, as insidious as it is, it does at least make sense in that case. But here's where it gets really fuck, okay? Let me take you back to one of my most substantial and frustrating run-ins with RNG, Borderlands 2. Even though this game is built in large part upon RPG mechanics, it is still heavily action-based. It is an FPS after all. Critical hits only happen when you shoot weak spots on the enemy, instead of just a random 1 in 28 chance or whatever. That's all well and good, because it directly rewards skill. Now, this game has a crazy difficult raid boss that you can technically do on your own, but in order to beat him without having a stroke, you need a super rare shield called a B shield. I won't explain what the B shield does, but let's just say it's really good, and you really want it. Now, in order to get the B shield, you need to kill this specific guy, and then there's a 3% chance of him dropping the shield, roughly. And if you kill him and he doesn't drop it, you gotta quit the game and reload it. So yeah, until you get the shield, you gotta keep killing him, quit the game, wait for a loading screen, reload your file, wait for a loading screen, walk all the way back, kill him again, oh look, he didn't drop it. And you just rinse and repeat that until one day, when the planets align on Friday the 13th and a video surfaces on Live Leak of the Pope eating a chicken wing off of Randy Pitchford's chest, he maybe drops it. What kind of testicular nonsense is that? I actually did get the B shield when I first played the game, but you have to understand that I was like 15 back then. And in general, when you're 15, you have a lot more time on your hands. The thing about adults is that their time doesn't really belong to them. They have jobs, college, bills, rent, mortgage, families. A lot of us simply can't justify sitting down to play a game just to sit there and do shit like this for a chance to get super rare loot. You could do this for hours and still not get it. Again, it has nothing to do with skill at all. Like, at all. It's about whether or not you happen to have the time. Who in their right mind would lock content in a video game behind a fucking 3% game of chance? I mean, when you have so many other priorities, do you really want to dedicate what little free time you have to kill this one guy over and over again for an entire night, maybe several? And frankly, I don't give a shit that this has been a staple in RPGs since the dawn of time. Shitty camera used to be a staple in 3D platformers. If I could get rid of that shit, you know I would. And I'm not sitting here saying that all video games should be 100% predictable, because at that point, where's the challenge? Take Doom Eternal on Nightmare difficulty. This game is chaotic as hell. There are enemies flying at you from every direction at light speed. There's also the Marauder. All of this may seem random, but there are patterns to everything that's happening. It's not predictable per se, but if you're a good player, you can adapt on the fly really well, which is something that can't necessarily be said about RNG mechanics. You can't adapt to some jack-off just randomly one-shotting you with zero warning because the game said so. This game is designed so that everything is still in your control. It's not like the Marauder has a 10% chance of pulling out his own fucking BFG and one-shotting you from anywhere on the map. You can dodge and shoot and sprint around like a madman. You have every single tool at your disposal that you could hope for. So if you say that this game is bullshit, you know in the back of your mind that you're just a little bitch and you can't take the heat. But if you say the same thing about a game where you have to kill the same guy over and over again just to get a specific item, or a game where you can be obliterated with zero warning because of something that was beyond your control, you'll get a little more sympathy from me. Even when RNG happens in your favor, it never feels satisfying. It minimizes your achievements as blind pure luck, which is just dumb. I can understand trying to make something more challenging, but maybe just kneecapping you at random with zero warning and no recourse is a little bit of a dumbass idea. What kind of jackass wants to spend their time playing something that's based on chance and grinding for 2 hours for the inkling of an opportunity of getting something that, in a good game, would just be well hidden or stuck behind a hard mission or something? Not me. I'd rather take a Ritz cracker, spread it in duck butter, and eat it. Now, duck butter is that layer of grime that forms under your ballsack when you haven't showered in a few days. That's how I feel about RNG. Get rid of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old. It wouldn't surprise me. My friends all make fun of me for not having Instagram and never using Uber Eats in my life. And I guess you could argue that dealing with RNG requires its own set of skills. But we've seen games that have a more consistent and focused approach to difficulty that can still just destroy you if you're not careful, and I feel that this is a better practice. All things considered, I'm gonna have to give RNG an 18 out of 100 because that's the number that I got from this random number generating website. And it may sound like I've just been curb stomping RPGs this whole time, which is a little unfair. They're not the only kinds of games this happens to. Remember in Brawl, where there was a 1% chance for you to literally just trip and fall on your ass when dashing for no fucking reason?
Like, he's just completely out of touch with this character right now.
1% might sound negligible, but not in the heat of battle it's not. I can't think of a worse kind of game to have this mechanic than a fighting game. A genre where pinpoint precision, constant action, and on-the-fly decision-making is integral to the experience. Bottom line, RNG is stupid, I hate it, and whoever came up with it should be launched into the surface of Mars.
You can't just shoot a hole into the surface of Mars.
There's a lesson to be learned from all of this. Doom Eternal is good, and everything else is garbage.